I'm Matt Kane.
I'm Brian DeVore.
I'm Taylor Hello.
And this is Remember. Remember is a first-person shooter, survival horror, zombie apocalypse game. The primary gameplay experience of Remember is to survive. It's not it's not an action-first game like say Left 4 Dead. It's very open-ended, and our goal is to create a true survival experience for the player. So we're going to be developing on UDK. It's well suited for first-person shooters, and it's going to be really good for us to develop the kind of environments we want to see. But our primary mechanic in our game is the devolution of this small town in an American 1950s setting from kind of this caricature setting where everything is kind of too pretty and nice to complete utter chaos and destruction. We have several systems that support this devolution of the town that go from, that support multiple different breakdowns from behaviors of AI in the town setting to the functionalities of town infrastructure utilities and even lighting and environment.
So one of the systems that we're going to have is our AI system, and we're going to have basically two types of AI. We'll have zombies that are pretty dumb. They react to sight and sound, but not much else. And the other system is the human system, where they try and follow some like set routine and react to zombies when they get close. So our population behaviors, as the zombies are drawn to sound, they're going to be moving around the world, and through this they're going to bring disease spread, the disease being the zombie infection, infecting anyone close to them, and interrupting the lives of the humans. So in order to do this, we really want to have like a set town with a set population, and we're going to try to have about probably 10,000 actors in the world, and the only way that we're going to be able to accommodate that many people is to approximate the AI behaviors using statistics. So we're going to break down the world into separate zones and kind of keep track of them using statistics in different ways.
Really quickly, I wanted to just, we forgot to say, it's a single player experience. So the 10,000 actors are all AI actors. So one of the primary interactions for the player is to interact with the NPCs in the world. But the way that the player interacts with these NPCs is a little bit removed, because the player inhabits a character that's supposed to be kind of an outsider to this environment. On top of that, the characters are caricatures, and they're not supposed to be fully empathetic characters. The player character primarily interacts by observing their behavioral patterns and their routines and trying to understand how to manipulate those to best further their own strategic interests down the line, whether that is to save the town from the zombie apocalypse or just to survive on their own.
We want the resources in the game to be, they're a little more full at the start of the game, but they slowly get scarce as the zombies take over. So it's a big deal for the player to be careful about his actions and conserve resources and always be searching around for more things he could use. Death in the game, basically every time you play the game you're going to learn a lot more about it, but it's permadeath, so when you die you have to start over. But the interesting part is when you start over, you are in a new character's body, so you start from a different part in the game, but still at the start of the outbreak.
So the art style is not realistic. It's kind of an impressionistic, painterly art style. We're not going cel shaded, but we're going to try to use high contrast shaders and kind of hand drawn look for the character and environment models. We're going to try to use heavy shadows to create kind of brooding atmosphere. But yeah. So we have a short gameplay demo to show you guys. So this is kind of a tech demo. It's not really a huge kind of gameplay experience, but it kind of showcases some of the features and mechanics that we're going to implement. This is also a top-down perspective. We figured this would be helpful to
turn off the lights. Push the one on the panel.
this prototype's top down just to be able to show some of the population behaviors. So Taylor starts out in the woods. He's stranded, he's unarmed, and he's basically trying to explore around and find resources, trying to find anything to help him survive longer. So a lot of the environments we want to have in the game range from kind of suburban environments to more rural and natural environments with woods and riverbanks. A lot of it should be kind of more like Midwest environments. So Taylor's approaching the suburban area, right on the outskirts. He's found a house. He's going to try to go inside and see if he can find resources like equipment and food. On the bottom left, you can see he has a stamina bar. As he sprints or he does actions like attacking, he uses energy. The red line represents his longer-term stamina bar, which decays over time, and you can starve to death. That's one of the primary ways you can actually fail in this game. So Taylor's going to look for some food because he would like to. In this demo, he's full stamina, but he wants to get food to maintain it. So he found some in the kitchen over here, and restored some of his stamina. This is going to be one of the primary driving factors for progression in the game. Is the stamina system is meant to push the player to explore. We want the players to be able to feel like they can go in this environment, and it pushes them out into dangerous situations that they wouldn't otherwise just run into. So Taylor found a baseball bat. A lot of the weapons we want to have in the game are supposed to be kind of things you would find in a suburban setting. So a lot of them will be tools, and guns will be very rare. Ammunition will be even rarer. So Taylor's moved out to the street where. Okay, so I don't know. So okay, well, so Taylor's moved to the street, and he's going to continue trying to find resources. So he's going to go down here to a gas station area. So unfortunately, there's a zombie here. So Taylor is able to kill it. Now, the good thing about the baseball bat is that it's pretty quiet. One of the primary mechanics that we're going to have is sound. That's another big detrimental aspect of using guns, which Taylor just found a large gun. And so he can use it to now kill this zombie much more effectively. But in order to do so, he has to stop and aim the gun, which can make it difficult to use in kind of tight quarters, high tension scenarios. And you can hear how loud it was. That is sure to have negative consequences down the road. So Taylor's going to head back over to the kind of the town central area. There should have been NPCs walking around here. I'm not sure what's happening, but that square is an NPC. He's lazy. So let's see. So if Taylor, you can open a mini map, and it will show. So here's an NPC right here. He's kind of going around his town routine. So if you open the mini map again, this is a heat map that shows the distribution of the population of zombies in the world. These are all further away. And if Taylor shoots the gun, they will slowly start moving towards the gunshot sounds. And as they move closer, you can see that NPC is starting to run away because the zombie has entered into its cone of vision. So zombies are starting to approach, and they're being drawn by the gun sounds. So this is an example of how the actions you take have longer-term consequences, because what he's done is drawn a bunch of zombies to this area, and all of the townspeople have left, and the area is deserted now. And he also has a lot of zombies to deal with. Yeah, so that's pretty much our gameplay demo. Really quickly, we're running out of time, but We have a team of 9 people right now. We're looking to expand a lot more, but we were trying to keep it pretty small for the prototype development phase. Basically, a lot of our development will be in systems, and we want to basically get the population control, most of the routine AI behaviors, and some of the combat for the zombies, or all the zombie combat in by the first semester. And the second semester, we want to have combat behaviors for humans, and we want to expand out our number of levels and number of weapons and assets significantly from there. Thanks.
So I'm just a little curious about your team and the people who can get it done. Can you talk a little bit about your leadership experience, whoever is part of that, and also your AI experience, because it sounds like you guys have some interesting.
Yeah, we're actually, so our entire team is undergrad right now, and so we're all getting experience with our AI development.
There's actually a class here at USC that we're AI design, and we're looking to recruit from that and learn from that.
Yeah, so we are looking to expand out a lot of our talent. Personally, I'm currently working on Conclave, and I'm an artist on Conclave right now. Yeah, so all of our leads have been just in the standard group projects for CS majors so far. So yeah.
How many of you guys have worked on Final Games in the past?
We have. I'm actually the only one on the team who's worked on Final Games so far. So yeah.
So you guys are going to need a lot of art and animation. Can you kind of describe your plan for that kind of pipeline?
Yeah, so what we want to do is try to keep the number of character models down, especially. We'd like to have a maximum of 3 models and be able to swap out textures and add on like outfit models on top of those skeletons, so we can keep the art requirements to a minimum. Also, for environmental design, what we're trying to do, because it's both an indoor and outdoor kind of seamless play experience, we want to basically have a limited number of structural models that we can place in the level, and we plan on reusing some of them, and also reusing props around the level to kind of customize that further.
Do you have any animators that you've recruited?
Yeah, Luis is Luis is also on House of Cards right now, I forgot to say that. And so basically, Luis is an animator and 3D modeler, and he's our lead. But we are still looking to recruit out more artists. So it's a challenge right now.
So one quick question. You guys mentioned a lot of systems about sort of kind of maintaining or keeping your character alive. What's your vision for keeping the player engaged? What's the progression, or what's the reason I'm going to keep playing for? I think you guys said 15 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of curious, what's the progression to my experience?
So basically, the ultimate goal is to survive, but it's very difficult to do so. The name Remember is primarily meant to kind of hint at the fact that every time you play through and die, you remember more, both in terms of the actual player remembering more from learning more about the world, which is similar every single time you play through it. But on top of that, you also are able to gain in-game information, which compounds, and you don't lose that upon your death. So even though your death is permanent, you lose your equipment, you're able to gain power through information in the game. So you're able to get enhanced tooltips, and you're able to get revealed minimaps, which basically are a form of collectible for the player to get.
Thank you.
Why are you bothering with UDK?
So UDK is going to give us an enhanced pipeline over, say, Unity for art assets that are going to be appropriate for the type of setting that we're trying to create. Also, it's pretty streamlined for first-person shooters. So we're going to be modding it heavily, obviously, but it has a good pipeline for those systems, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that I've seen UDK be a real pain to work with for a lot of people. In particular, you know, the Blink team complained about it. The team that did the time travel game the year before that complained about it a lot. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not sure if that art is going to be better than, say, like AI benefits that you get from being able to work in a more easily programmable system.
One of the things that we want to do is try to build out a pretty robust API for Kismet so that we can basically have designer plugins through Kismet for the AI functionality that we'll be programming with Unreal Script. That's another benefit for you.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. So with your art direction, your concept art, and with your premise, you're evoking a kind of nostalgic view of the U.S. at a particular moment. But nothing I've seen in the rest of the game pitch actually follows through on that the setting of why it is that you put it there. I mean, if you think of something like Mad Men, for example, there's a reason why they're evoking that nostalgia, so they can show us, you know, really just how different we are and how our culture has changed. And I'd like you to speak to that because you have used that in your sort of concept, and yet you haven't followed through in your mechanics in any way.
So basically, this gets at kind of at least our interpretation of what the zombie fiction is, and it's kind of a postmodern examination of at least the modern zombie fiction. It's kind of a postmodern examination of what it means to have a developed modern American society, and it looks at how that is a negative thing rather than a positive thing, which is kind of like the way that it was viewed in the 50s. And so it's meant to be a contrast to the zombie fiction and like the modern idea of urban decay that comes along with that. It's meant to create a kind of an uneasy sense of tension, where you're seeing these characters who are very kind of cardboard, reacting to this kind of urban, this modern urban mythology of just destruction.
I'd like to